Chapter 1, Mishnah 5. Our Mishnah continues the discussion of a tree that was older than 3 years, but is then uprooted. The first part of our Mishnah deals with a case of layering. One of the branches of a fruit tree, say a grapevine, is bent down to the ground, where the middle of that branch is then buried so that it will develop its own roots. One end of the branch remains connected to the original vine, the parent, and the other free end rises from the ground as if it were a separate vine. When the new roots are sufficiently developed, the branch is severed from the parent, at which point the layered branch becomes a completely separate grapevine. We now turn to the words of the Mishnah. If a tree that was more than 3 years old was uprooted from the ground but had a layered branch still attached to it, from which the tree could be sustained, the old tree now changes to be like a branch of the rooted layer, and the rooted layer is now like the main tree, and both begin a 3-year Orlah count from that moment. If he layered the old tree year after year, drawing each year's layered branch from the branch that was layered the previous year, so that now, after several years, he has a series of layered branches, the later ones connect through the earlier ones all the way back to the present. And the first layered branch, was then severed from the original parent, making the tree that grew from that branch, as well as all the trees that came after it and are still connected to one another, independent of the original parent. He counts a new 3-year Orlah period for all the trees that grew from all the layered branches from the time the first layered branch was severed from the parent. Another cultivation technique is grafting. The planter takes a branch from one tree and grafts that branch onto a different tree, called the rootstock. The grafted branch, the scion, then draws nourishment from the rootstock. The Mishnah now discusses a special case of grafting, namely, where the scion is grafted onto the rootstock but remains attached as well to its original tree. We now return to the words of the Mishnah. In the case of extension of a grapevine, where a vine is stretched and then grafted onto another grapevine while remaining attached to its original grapevine, and an extension upon an extension, even if he also layered the extensions in the ground so that in addition to replanting them into another grapevine, he also replanted them into the ground, the law is that it is permitted to eat the fruits that grow from these vines if the original grapevines are past the years of Orlah. The grafting and layering of these extended vines is not considered a new planting, since these extended vines were never severed from their original place of growth. The Mishnah now quotes a Tana who says that this is not always the case. Rebbe Meir says, where the strength of the extended vine is strong so that it still draws most of its nourishment from the parent to which it is still connected, it is permitted to eat its fruits, as the first Tana said, because the extended vine is still considered to be a part of its parent. But where the strength of the extended vine is weak, so that it does not draw its main nourishment from the parent, it is forbidden to eat the fruits that will now grow from the vine, because it is considered replanted in the rootstock onto which it has been grafted, even though it is still connected to its parent. The Mishnah gives another case of replanting where the fruits are forbidden. And so a layered branch that was cut from an old tree when the layered branch was already filled with non-Orlah fruit, then if it grew 1/200th more from its own roots after being cut from the old tree, it is forbidden to eat those fruits, because the new Orlah growth is too large to be nullified.